My favorite memory of my life was being a child, getting in the minivan with my mom and my siblings and driving down to Walnut Creek, California to go see my grandparents. This home was just filled with so much love and so much attention to detail that both of my grandparents were artists. My grandpa painted this beautiful mural that was on the barn doors in their dining room, and my grandma would make stained glass. Being in that home with my siblings and my grandparents and feeling all that love, it felt like everything in the world was fine. My name is Aaron Mumma. I'm a local realtor here in Portland. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a son, and I help people buy and sell homes for a living is what I do for work. For so many years, I had staged homes. Stagers would come in and they'd bring in the furniture and they'd bring in art that, is department store art. They're not gonna have really beautiful art that makes sense. A lot of times they'd use plastic plants, and I couldn't stand it. It didn't feel alive. I was running from, I had this real strong fear of failure. And if I just numbed myself basically to the world, that I, wouldn't feel it. I was 16 years old, I had my first drink. And it immediately, the first drink I had, I felt like I found what I had been looking for my whole life. I felt like I found something that allowed me to be free. And then over time, it began to control me more and more. And I no longer had any say in what I was doing. Alcohol was sort of my master. I had no choice over it anymore. The biggest thing I lost because of my drinking was my ability to be present with myself. I lost my ability to see the world in a way that I did when I was a child. I think the biggest thing that I lost was hope. When I was in the height of my addiction to alcohol, my first child, Bennett, was born. And that was really the first kind of episode in my life, moment in my life that was a bit of a wake-up call where I felt like, looking back at it now, God was reaching out and saying, I'm here, life is real, come back. And so when my son Bennett was born, he had been healthy in utero, and the day we went to the hospital, they couldn't find his heartbeat, and then they did an emergency C-section, and they pulled him out, and he was completely lifeless. He was black and blue. And they got him immediately onto life support, and he spent the first 30 days of his life in the NICU, and those first 5 days, it was looking like he wasn't gonna make it. And I looked over at Bennett's mother, Stephanie, and I said, why is this happening to us? That was in the first couple days after he was born, and it didn't look like he was gonna make it. And she looked at me and she said, why not us? And for the first time, Bennett lifted his head and looked up in awe and wonder at the world. He just out of nowhere looks up, totally peaceful. I'm so grateful for Bennett and my daughter Farah that I get to be a dad to them now, and I get to be alive and present. I think about this home as it parallels my life. This home was born beautiful and loved and lived in, and it went through a dark period. I mean, I see it that way. I think of it as the period of time, that 20-year period of time that nobody lived here, ironically, is I started drinking at 16 and I got sober at 36, which was 20 years. And this home went 20 years without anyone living in it and without being loved. When I stage a home with art from the gallery and I'm bringing in pieces that I've gone in and I'm curating this space, my idea of curating a space is I want to create something where people walk in and they feel deeply moved. I want them to look on the walls and see the art, and I want them to be reminded themselves that they're a creative being. My whole thing is that when somebody walks into a home, I want them to get goosebumps. I want them to be moved. I want them to have emotional response to the house. I think he's a beautiful creation, you know, and he's been brought into my life and everybody's life that knows him, and he's an incredibly beautiful soul, and something created him, whatever you want to call it, wherever he came from, here he is. And just like art is created, it's an expression for somebody that gets to tell their story or somebody else's story, but it connects us. And so to me, Bennett's a connector, and he's a light bringer, and I think of art that way. That's how I use art today. My ultimate hope is that I can be as present as possible. And so if that's with my kids, that I can be calm and I can be present and I can experience moment to moment. It's really hard to do, you know. And we have our phones and our gadgets and distractions all over, and try to bring connection and hope and peace in every area of my life. And then that bled into what I do now with my work. And I felt like I was running for a really, really long time. And I'm just grateful that I survived. Being able to curate with all of this stunning art from the gallery has allowed me to tap into my creative self more. I think of myself more as a vessel for the artist and a curator, and I get to share their art. And I'm slowly coming out of my shell in a way of being confident to think about myself as an artist.